Framed, Part 13, 16th of May. Cars today: a red Toyota Prius, T4 automatic, Dr. Ramanan, Philip, all check, cup of soup. Another red Toyota Prius, T4 automatic, some people I don't know, petrol, cappuccinos. A blue Toyota Prius, T4 automatic, a random person, petrol, a box of fudge. Silver Skoda Octavia, the Ellis brothers. Ford Scorpio, Sergeant Hunter. Blue Lexus, Mr. Choi, petrol. Red Ford car, Miss Stannard, petrol. Weather, rain, including rainbows. Note, there's no such thing as bad weather. Friday 23rd of May is our busiest weekday since the logbook began. We actually ran out of cup of soups. We even sold a box of mannered fudge. And this was all down to Mam, because she was the one who bought the umbrellas. What happened was this. When we came back from our school trip to see the wooden boxes, Mam was in the shop, which was a surprise because we thought she was going to the Conway car boot madness. That's a massive car boot sale beside the harbour in Conway. Mam never misses it. But that day she just shrugged and looked out the window at the rain. She said, "Oh, guess what? It's raining." On the Monday when we told her that there was no cereal left for breakfast, she did the same. "Looks like it's Mars bars again," I said. "That is so unhealthy," said Marie. "You can kill yourselves if you like. I'm going to sort out a proper breakfast for myself." She had a Bounty, because they've got real coconut in them, which is very good for you. I stuck to Mars bars and took Mars bars for lunch as well. I took an extra one because I knew that Terrible Evans would probably nick one, but she didn't. She came and sat next to me and started chatting about the turtles. "Did you know," she said, "that in the original comics, Splinter wasn't a mutant rat?" "No, I didn't. In the teleseries, Splinter is a rat who used to be a human, but in the comics, he's a rat who was always a rat. On telly, he used to be Hamato Yoshi, who mutated into a rat because of a mutagen. In the comics, he was Hamato Yoshi's pet, a pet rat. He's supposed to have learned martial arts by copying his master's routines. I mean, how mad is that?" "Well, it's a bit mad, but so is 4 pizza eating Ninja Turtles when you think about it." "Yeah, but it's not just credible, is it? A human who mutates into a rat is much more likely than a rat that learn." "Yeah, but it's just not credible, is it? A human who mutates into a rat is much more likely than a rat that learns martial arts, surely." "Well, maybe. It's possible that Terrible Evans was more interesting before she mutated. She didn't hit anyone all day. During morning break, she spoke to Jay Porty. During maths, she put her hand up twice. After school, she walked to the garage with us, and she laughed at the hens, but not in a bad way. She stood and watched while we fed them. She said, 'Look at the way they walk, it's hilarious.' It is true that hens do walk funny, but I don't think our hens are funnier than others. They sort of lift their legs very high up before putting them down. You know what they are?" said Terrible. "Ninja chickens." While we were doing this, a van came down off the mountain. Lester hopped out the passenger side to open the gate. We took him his Financial Times and waved him off. "That's your picture," said Minnie. "The ugly woman one. It's going to London." "I don't care," said Terrible. "I've got it all up here. It's all up here." She pointed to her head. I hadn't really thought about the vans going to London before. I watched this one disappear and wondered if Dad would go and see the picture. Anyway, the point is, when we went indoors, there was no tea ready. I said to Mam, "We're starving." She said, "Eat then," and carried on looking out of the window. "Oh, rain," she said. There's a surprise. We were sick of Mars bars by this point, so we had a soup. Not a cup of soup, proper soup out of a tin. Quavers instead of bread. I offered some to Mam, but she wasn't interested. Marie said, "She's depressed. Push off your food. I wish I was depressed. I might get rid of these thighs." Minnie said, "You haven't got thighs." "Everyone's got thighs." This went on for ages. I stopped listening because I had this idea. If a painting stopped Terrible Evans being terrible, then maybe a painting could stop Mam being depressed. All I had to do was get her to come up there with me. It turned out that was easy. I just went into her and said, "Mam, I've got to go up to the quarry on Thursday because of the cakes. Can you give me a lift?" She didn't even look at me. She just went, "Whatever." So the next Thursday I strapped Max into the Wrangler, top speed 90 miles per hour, which was the only vehicle we had left, and we drove up the mountain. I had to hold on to Max because his baby seat was still in the Mini. Because Mam had never been up before, I thought she'd be surprised that it was sunny on top, but she didn't seem to notice. The picture was still in its box. All the paintings were in boxes, but before taking one off to London, Lester liked to open it up and make sure it was the right picture and that it wasn't damaged. Then he put it back in the box again. "The whole thing should only take really about half an hour," he said, "but I like to do it on Thursday, so I have the whole weekend alone with the picture. Have it boxed up again on Sunday evening, and then travel up to London with it on the Monday morning. I always accompany the art. just to be on the safe side. While Lester was talking, one of the men was undoing the box. It was surprisingly complicated. The box had a lid that fitted tight into the top. You lifted that off with a crowbar. The trick is finding the groove where the crowbar fits, said the man. It's here under the writing. Look, just under the T of National. Inside the box was stuffed with straw, and there were these metal brackets to hold the picture in place. The top two had little catches on them, so you could just undo them and lift the picture out. I couldn't believe it. It was a picture of rain. Oh no, I sighed. You don't like it, said Lester. It's too late for your taste, I imagine. How can a picture be late? Late for what? I just said, yeah. I thought I'd play safe for a week. This is a very popular picture. The painting, by the way, is called The Umbrellas, and it's by Renoir. It's a picture of people standing out in the rain with their umbrellas up. Except there's a woman at the front with a big shopping basket. She looks a bit miserable, which could be because she's got no umbrella, or it could be because the shopping basket is possibly filling up with water. There's a beardy bloke behind her, saying something. Probably, do you want to buy an umbrella? It looked like any day in Manad, really, except most people in Manad don't have umbrellas. Lester said, it's not entirely without interest. In it you can see Renoir moving away from the straightforward impressionism towards something more classical and sculptural. The woman at the front, for instance. And yet the play of light and shade across the umbrellas themselves is true to the original aims of... It's lovely, said Mam. The play of light and shade across the umbrellas. Yes, I think you can say he... The people, said Mam. They're out in the rain, but they're all smiling and getting on with it. Why are they so happy? The man who'd been helping him with the box said, maybe there's somewhere where it hardly ever rains. Maybe that's why he painted it, because rain was a special occasion. Interesting, said Lester, but incorrect. He painted this picture over a long period. He began it in 1881 and didn't finish till 1886. I'm not saying it poured down continuously for 5 years, but I do think we can assume a certain familiarity with rain over that period. Rain's okay, I said, if you've got an umbrella. Exactly, said Mam. It's umbrellas. You hardly see umbrellas anymore, do you? Don't they look lovely, like big flowers? And every one of them's got two people under it, whispering, chatting, laughing. The umbrellas are like parties on sticks. And that was it. On Saturday morning, Mam took us all to the Pennybont Carnival, this year's beneficiary of the Mid-Snowdonian Meals on Wheels, and told us all to go and look for umbrellas. I got 2 of those little telescopic black ones that fit in your glove compartment, and a golf umbrella the size of a satellite tracking station, with Gordon's gin, the gin that thinks it's it, written all around it. Minnie found a whole bag full of kids' umbrellas, with ducks and frogs on. Marie found a white one with a pearly handle which was more pretty than waterproof. Mam found a whole load too, and when she finished at the car boot, she took us to the Oxfam shop in Lambeth, the Sue Ryder shop in Blaenau, and the Mountain Rescue shop in Manad, still looking for umbrellas. And when we got home, she went into the loft and found 3 more there, 50 umbrellas altogether. She got Marie to paint some flowers and the words Manad Parapluies, take one, they're free, on 3 of the old plastic flower bins from the shop. She put a bin full of umbrellas on the forecourt next to the papers. She put the second one in the bus shelter, and the third one she filled with the frog and duck umbrellas, and on Monday she asked Miss Stannard to put it in the playground. Umbrellas, said Miss Stannard. There's a health and safety issue there. They could poke each other's eyes out. I never thought of that, said Mam. Then again, if you can't poke someone's eye out in primary school, when can you? Let's give it a go, Miss Hughes. That lunchtime, no one opted for wet play. Even though it was raining as hard as usual, everyone took an umbrella and played out. Actually, there weren't enough umbrellas, but that was okay. People just shared like in the picture. In the playground, it felt like you were inside a great big restless tent. Back in the classroom, the Connect 4 and the big drafts stayed in their boxes. Most people in our school get a lift to school, but the morning after the umbrellas came, everyone took an umbrella and walked. From up where we are, at the top, in the garage, it looked like a cup final crowd moving down the street. It looked so good. People would come up to the garage just to look down the street, and they bought coffee. In the end, newspaper Arthur came and wrote about it. Whatever the weather. There are many unusual sights in Snowdonia, but few as colourful as the so-called Manad March. Every morning at 8:50 and every afternoon at 15:45, the streets are briefly ablaze with colour. And what's the reason? Umbrellas. Manodians have taken to doing the school run on foot with umbrellas. There's no such thing as bad weather, says resident Mrs. Porty. There's only inappropriate clothing. The masked umbrellas of Manad can be seen sneaking up and down the whole length of Blaenau Road like a psychedelic boa constrictor. When I say briefly, by the way, I mean it. Get there 10 minutes too late, and Manad is just another rainy grey mountain town. That's if you get there at all. There's no sign for Mannard on the A496, and the turn-off itself is difficult to spot, concealed as it is by the advertising billboard for Digomania, Harlech. Psychedelic boa constrictor. How hectic is that, then? How many towns have a high street like a psychedelic boa constrictor? At this time he put a picture of Marie in, and this time he put a picture of Marie in. She was smiling under the massive "gin that thinks it's it" umbrella. The caption said she was singing in the rain, but she wasn't singing. She can't sing. If you ask her now, Marie says that it was her smile, not the umbrellas, that did it. Whatever. The day after the paper came out, Dr. Ramanan turned up before school, filled up with petrol and said he wanted to watch the umbrellas. Then came Sergeant Hunter in his Scorpio. Just making sure it doesn't constitute an obstruction, he said. Then another Toyota Prius and a Skoda Octavia with the Ellis brothers in it. Even though they now live in Conway, their mum still reads the month and they'd come back to see the umbrellas. They had their Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. So we played that on the bonnet of the Octavia until Dr. Ramanan shouted, "It's starting!" And they all looked down Blaenau Road. The Ellis boys got up on the roof of their Skoda to see better. Me and Minnie should have been gone by then, but we wanted to see it too. It was like a dance. One minute the streets were empty, the next minute there was a psycho what's-it boa constrictor. And then it was gone again, and they all went round the corner into the school. "We're late," said Minnie. "Yes," said Mum, and she kissed us both goodbye, which is a thing she hadn't done for a while. "I used to hate the rain," she said. "Imagine how terrible it would be if the rain stopped now. We'd have no umbrellas." We walked back towards the shop, and guess what? There was a rainbow. Not an ordinary rainbow like you see in a normal town. A double rainbow. One really bright one, with another fainter one just floating just above it. The colours on the fainter one were back to front. "It's something to do with reflections," Sergeant Hunter said. "Congratulations, Mrs. Hughes." Something to do with reflections. Sergeant Hunter said, "Congratulations, Mrs. Hughes." And it sounded like he thought she'd made the rainbow too.